Welcome, sleepy soul. I'm your storyteller tonight, here to help you drift into deep, peaceful sleep. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more bedtime stories. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. And if there's a story you'd like to hear next, I'd love to know that too. I used to imagine this moment happening in 100 different ways. Some nights it was salvation, a warm hug, a tearful reunion promises to start over. Other nights it was punishment, yelling, blame, doors slammed in my face until I was nothing but a sob echoing down a hallway. But no version ever felt quite like this. No version ever prepared me for what actually happened. My name is Lena. I'm 43 years old and I haven't seen my daughter since she was taken from me at the age of 2. Social services didn't waste time. By the time I realized I needed help, by the time I admitted that the shaking hands and the bottles hidden behind the toilet weren't just a phase, she was already gone. That's what happens when you're deep in the bottle and even deeper in denial. I used to scream that they had no right, that she was mine. But that wasn't true, not really. I was barely a person back then, let alone a mother. Her name is Haley. That's the only thing I've always held on to. I used to whisper it to myself when I couldn't sleep, like a prayer I didn't believe in. I never stopped loving her. I just stopped believing I deserved to. For 19 years, I bounced from one halfway house to another, worked temp jobs, slept in shelters, sometimes clean, often not. But through all of it, through the years when my skin was gray from exhaustion and my teeth ached from neglect, she reached out. Somehow she always found me. Every few months there'd be a message, a new number, a new email, always the same gentleness. Hi, Mom. Just wondering how you're doing. Mom, I'm working at this new place if you ever want to stop by. I still think about you. I never replied, not because I didn't want to, God, I wanted to, but because I couldn't imagine what she'd say back if I did. The shame was a weight strapped to my chest every waking moment. When you've missed everything, every birthday, every first day of school, every heartbreak and broken bone, what do you even say? But something changed this year. Maybe it was my body slowing down, the coughing fits that rattled through my ribs like old bones. Or maybe it was the silence. When you get older, the quiet starts to sound less like peace and more like a grave. So I scrolled back through our old messages, heart hammering like I was about to steal something. And there it was, a text from 5 months ago. If you ever want to see me, I'm working nights now. Wendy's on Silver Pine Avenue, right off exit 43. There was a little heart emoji at the end. Just one. I cried when I saw it. That was 3 days ago. Tonight I got as clean as I could. Washed my hair in the shelter sink, brushed my teeth with a cracked toothbrush, put on the least wrinkled shirt I owned. And then I walked. 2 miles across town, past shuttered shops and boarded-up homes until I found it. Wendy's. It sat at the edge of a cracked parking lot, the red and white sign flickering like a bad omen. The neighborhood wasn't much, old strip malls, liquor stores with bars on the windows. But I wasn't expecting much. I just wanted to see her. Just once, even from a distance. Inside was nearly empty. 2 teenagers sat at the back, whispering over their phones. The rest of the place felt wrong. The lights were on but dim, bathing everything in the same dull red glow as the sign outside, and there, standing perfectly still at the register, was a young woman in a Wendy's uniform. I froze. It was her, Haley. She looked exactly like the photo I carried in my wallet, an old newspaper clipping someone had mailed me years ago when she was 6. Same round cheeks, same brown eyes, only older now, tired. Her hair was pulled into a tight bun and her name tag, crooked, read Haley. She didn't move, just stared at me. I swallowed hard and stepped forward. My hands trembled. "Hi," I said, my voice cracking. Her reply was instant. "Welcome to Wendy's. Can I take your order?" The words came too perfectly, rehearsed, mechanical. My stomach twisted. I'm not here for food," I said softly. I'm here for you. She blinked, but her expression didn't change. I'm Lena, I whispered. Your mother. Silence. For a second, I thought she hadn't heard me. Then she smiled. But it wasn't the smile I'd imagined for 19 years. It wasn't warm or relieved or full of tears. It was wide. Too wide. The corners of her lips strained, and her eyes stayed lifeless. I knew you'd come, she said, voice flat but loud enough to echo. I've been waiting. The teenagers in the back stopped talking. Something in me broke open. All my guilt and fear collapsed into something cold and clean. Haley, what's going on? Are you okay? She tilted her head slightly, a slow, jerky motion like a marionette missing a few strings. Why wouldn't I be okay, Mommy? My legs went numb. That word, Mommy, sliced through me like a knife. She shouldn't remember that. She was too young to have ever said it. I'm sorry, I whispered. I should have come sooner. I wanted to. Why didn't you? Because I was scared, I said, tears spilling. Because I didn't want to ruin your life more than I already had. I don't blame you, she said calmly. I understand. But you don't have to run anymore. You're here. That's what matters. I looked around. The teens were gone. No one else had come in. The kitchen was dead silent. No sizzling oil, no beeping timers, not even background music. What is this place? I asked. Her smile didn't change. This is where people come to find closure, she said. You came to reconnect. And now, we'll never be apart. She reached across the counter. That's when I noticed her hands. Too long, fingers bending at wrong angles, nails glinting like cracked glass. Haley, I breathed. What happened to you? She climbed over the counter in one smooth motion. I backed into a booth, my heart slamming against my ribs. You left me, Mommy, she said, eyes wide. But it's okay. You're here now. You'll never leave again. Her jaw unhinged slowly, the sound like dry wood splitting. Her voice came out in two tones, one soft, one deep and rasping. This is what love feels like. I screamed. I bolted toward the exit, but the doors wouldn't open. I slammed my fists against the glass. Help! Somebody help me. Behind me, I heard her crawling, her joints clicking, limbs bending wrong. You never answered my messages, she hissed. So I made a place just for us. I built it with my hands. My real hands. I turned. Her shape twisted, skin rippling. Her face melted like wax, revealing something gray and wet beneath. Muscles stretched over bone, eyes like burned holes. I didn't mean to hurt you, I sobbed. But you did, she said tenderly. You left a hole. I filled it with rage, with grief, with love. She lunged. The pain wasn't instant. First came the heat, then the cold, then nothing. I don't know what I am now, not really. But every night I stand behind the counter next to her. When people walk in, we smile. Welcome to Wendy's, I say. Can I take your order? They don't usually stay long, but sometimes they do. Especially the ones who come looking for someone they've lost. Especially the ones who deserve to be found. The collar on my uniform still says Mom, neat red stitching over pale gray fabric. I used to think it meant something comforting. Now I know better. It isn't a title. It isn't a logo. It's a promise, a warning, forever and ever. I never planned to become the kind of person people whispered about online, but I guess no one ever does. It started as curiosity, small, harmless, almost human. Now they call me the drive-through phantom. I used to laugh when I saw those posts on Reddit or local news threads. People saying I was a ghost, a demon, or some urban legend haunting the Wendy's on Highway 19. But I'm real. I'm flesh and bone. And if you've ever worked a night shift at a fast food restaurant, there's a good chance you've seen me, or thought you did. 1. The girl with the black hair. It started with a girl, Marfield, South Dakota, a small dying town where the air always smelled faintly of corn dust and cheap gasoline. the kind of place where time doesn't move forward, it just loops in circles. I'd been living there for 6 months after losing my job in Sioux Falls, fired for reasons they called inappropriate behavior. Translation: I looked too long at the wrong person. She was the reason I started again. Her name was Lena. I didn't know that at first. To me, she was just the girl at the Wendy's drive-thru, the one with dark hair tucked under her red cap and tired eyes that never met mine. I went through that drive-thru almost every night, sometimes for food, sometimes just to hear her voice. "Welcome to Wendy's. Can I take your order?" Those 6 words became my addiction. The way she said welcome, soft but distracted, made me feel seen, even if it was just part of her script. Most nights I didn't even eat what I ordered. I'd just drive home and leave the bag on the passenger seat until it went cold. One night when she handed me my Frosty, our fingers brushed. Just a second, barely contact, but it lit something inside me, something I didn't know I still had. After that, I couldn't stop watching her. 2. The rules I made, rules for myself, to keep it under control. Rule number 1, never follow them home. Rule number 2, never interact outside of work. Rule number 3, never take anything personal. For a while it worked. I'd watch from the parking lot, blending into the dark. Sometimes I'd park across the street with the headlights off, pretending to scroll my phone. I knew her schedule by heart. Tuesdays off, Fridays double shifts. Sundays she always wore earbuds while cleaning the lobby. I told myself I was protecting her, that Marfield was crawling with creeps worse than me. That lie kept me warm. 3. The other man. The first time I saw him, it was a Tuesday. Lena had just closed the restaurant. The lights inside dimmed, the neon open sign flickered out. She came out the back door with a trash bag slung over her shoulder, humming softly to herself. I watched from my car, engine off, careful not to move. Then I noticed him. A man tall and still, leaning against the ice freezer by the gas station across the lot, wearing sunglasses, at midnight. At first I thought he was just another customer or maybe security, but then he turned his head, just slightly, and I swear he was looking right at me. Not at her, at me. Something cold ran down my spine. Lena disappeared inside again, and I left before she came back out. My hands were shaking the whole drive home. The next night I went back. Different hoodie, different car. But the man was there again. This time no sunglasses, just eyes that didn't blink. I parked behind the dumpster, heart hammering. The kitchen lights flickered inside the Wendy's. I saw Lena sweeping the floor near the door, earbuds in. I thought about knocking on the glass, warning her. But then the man moved. He stepped out from the shadows and looked at me, deliberate, slow, before fading behind the building. Not walking. Fading. 4. The message. A week later, I got a text. Unknown number. Stop following her. No name, no punctuation, no threat, just that. I tried calling. No answer. Tried tracking the number. Nothing. That night, I didn't go to Wendy's. I stayed in my car, parked outside my apartment, smoking until dawn. But I couldn't sleep. My thoughts itched. My body felt too tight. The next night, I went back. The drive-thru lights were off. The sign out front said closed for maintenance. But through the window, I could see movement. A shadow, tall and thin, gliding past the fryer. And then I saw her. Lena. Her face pale under the flickering light, eyes wide, mouth open like she was mid-scream. Only no sound came out. I got out of my car and ran to the door. It was locked. I pounded on it, shouting her name, but the sound felt like it didn't go anywhere, like the air itself swallowed it. The shadow stopped moving, then slowly, deliberately turned toward me. That's when the lights went out. 5. Arrest. When I woke up, it was daylight. 2 police officers stood over me, shouting. My wrists hurt, blood on my knuckles. I'd been trying to claw the glass door open. Lena was standing near the manager's car, wrapped in a blanket, talking to an other cop. She looked afraid, not of them, of me. They arrested me for trespassing and stalking. In the police station, they showed me photos, grainy security footage from weeks ago. Me, parked across the street. Me, following her car. Me, watching through the window. But one picture made my blood freeze. It wasn't me in the last photo. It was the man in sunglasses, standing behind her car, his face turned toward the camera. His smile was small, sharp, inhuman. 6. The note. They booked me under the name Ethan Harper, my real name, though it didn't feel like mine anymore. I spent 2 weeks in Marfield County Jail waiting for arraignment. Most nights I didn't sleep. The cell was too cold. The air smelled of bleach and sweat. On the 12th night, I woke up to a scraping sound. A folded note slid under my cell door. No one was there. My hands shook as I opened it. You were sloppy. I cleaned up after you. Be grateful. But if you ever touch one of mine again, I'll visit. -R quote. I screamed for the guard. No one came. I banged on the bars until my knuckles split. When the warden finally arrived, the note was gone. They said I'd imagined it, said I needed medication, but I knew. He was still out there, the man in the black jacket, the watcher, and he wasn't watching Lena anymore. He was watching me. 7. Closure. 3 years later, I got out. No charges stuck, too little evidence, too much confusion. Lena had moved away. No forwarding address. Wendy's was closed, boarded up. Locals said it shut down after an incident no one wanted to talk about. But some nights, when the air gets cold and the wind blows from the west, the sign lights up again. The red flicker of the logo reflected on the cracked asphalt. And if you walk close enough, you can hear it. The drive-through speaker crackling to life. Welcome to Wendy's. Can I take your order? Sometimes I answer just to see what happens. And sometimes, when the static clears, I hear 2 voices whisper back, one soft, one deep. We've been waiting, Ethan. And then the lights go out. Epilogue. Local news excerpt, 2025 Marfield Gazette. April 12th, 2025. Abandoned Wendy's catches fire under mysterious circumstances. Authorities report that the long-shuttered Wendy's on Highway 19 went up in flames late Tuesday night. Witnesses claim to have seen a man in a gray hoodie inside moments before the fire started. No body was recovered, but several responders reported hearing voices from inside the wreckage, including a distorted female voice repeating, "Welcome to Wendy's. Can I take your order?" The cause of the fire remains under investigation. Locals say it's best to avoid the area, especially after dark. They say the past can't hurt you if you leave it behind. But that's not true. The past doesn't stay behind. It waits. And sometimes, it gets a job right next to you. 1. Starting over. 3 years after Marfield, I moved south. New town, new name. Ethan Harper was dead. At least that's what the papers said after the fire. Now I was Evan Hart, age 37, recently hired as a night shift supervisor at a Wendy's just off Route 24 in a town called Briars Hollow. It wasn't on any map I recognized, tucked behind the highway like someone tried to erase it but couldn't finish. The manager, a round man named Clay, hired me without much paperwork. Didn't ask about references, didn't check ID. Just smiled too wide and said, "We're short-staffed. You show up, you're in." That should have been my first warning. 2. The first night. The restaurant was too clean. Floors so shiny they reflected the fluorescent lights like mirrors. The fryer smelled faintly of bleach instead of grease, and there were rules taped everywhere. No employee should exit the building between 2:13 to 2:17 a.m. Drive-through window must remain closed if no car is detected. Never respond to the intercom after hours, even if you hear your name. Clay said they were corporate safety protocols. I didn't ask questions. My crew was small. Mia, a college dropout who chain-smoked clove cigarettes. Jared, a quiet dishwasher with haunted eyes. And Olivia, the newest hire. Young, pale, nervous smile. She reminded me of someone. Her dark hair, the way she tucked it behind her ear when nervous. My chest tightened. Lena. I shook it off. Just a coincidence. 3. The static around 1:30 a.m. We were closing up when the drive-through intercom crackled. Shh. Welcome to Wendy's. Can I take your order? Olivia froze. We're closed, she said softly into the mic. Silence. Then faintly, don't go outside. We all looked at each other. Jared laughed nervously. Someone's messing with us. I went to the monitor. No car. Just empty pavement, rain pooling under the flickering floodlight. I unplugged the headset, reset the system. Static stopped. 10 minutes later, it came back on again. This time louder, distorted. Ethan, you left her. My blood went cold. No one here knew my real name. I yanked the headset off. Shut it down, I barked. Mia looked confused. Who's Ethan? I didn't answer. 2:13 a.m. We kept cleaning in silence after that. Olivia mopped the lobby, humming to herself. The same melody Lena used to hum when she cleaned the counters in Marfield. Then, as the clock hit 2:13, the lights flickered. Every bulb in the ceiling stuttered at once and the air grew heavy, like the whole building inhaled. The front door clicked open. No one was near it. No wind, no movement, just that metallic creak. Mia stepped toward it. Probably a bad latch. Clay's voice suddenly boomed from the back office speakers, though he wasn't there. Do not exit between 2:13 and 2:17. The door slammed shut. Olivia screamed. Jared dropped his bucket, eyes wide. The lights stabilized again, humming like nothing had happened. When I checked the clock, 2:17, everything went quiet. 5. The tape. The next night, Clay wasn't there. He'd left a note taped to the safe. Training materials in office. Don't watch the red tape. Naturally, I watched it. The old CRT monitor flickered as the VHS clicked in. Footage from this restaurant, time-stamped 2018. The kitchen looked the same. A man in a Wendy's uniform stood by the fryer, cleaning. The camera's angle caught only half his face. Then a shadow appeared behind him. Long, human-shaped, but wrong. Too tall, head tilted at an impossible angle. The man froze, turned slowly, and the shadow's hand reached out, resting on his shoulder. The screen went black. When it came back, the man was gone, only grease stains where he'd stood. Then a voice whispered through the static. Calm, feminine. Welcome to Wendy's. Can I take your order? I ejected the tape, sweating. On the label, written in faded marker, E.H. My initials. 6. The girl in the mirror. By the third night, I wasn't sleeping. Every reflection, the fry grease, the window, even puddles, showed movement where there shouldn't be any. Sometimes I'd see her, Lena, smiling, wearing the red Wendy's visor, eyes hollow like burned film. Once she mouthed something. I leaned closer. You never left. The next moment she was gone, replaced by my own pale reflection. 7. The basement. On the fourth night, Olivia didn't show up. Clay's phone went straight to voicemail. The doors were unlocked when I arrived, though we'd bolted them the night before. Inside, the fryer was still on, oil bubbling, though no one had touched it. I found Mia's headset on the counter, still crackling faintly. Olivia, she's downstairs. There was no downstairs, but behind the walk-in freezer I found a narrow metal door I'd never noticed before. No handle, just a keypad. It blinked. 2:13. The clock on the wall read 2:12. I stepped back. But as soon as it hit 2:13, the keypad unlocked with a soft click. I opened it. Cold air poured out. The smell of bleach, iron, and something sweetly rotten. Stairs led down into flickering fluorescent light. At the bottom I saw them, uniforms, hundreds of them hanging on the walls, all tagged with names, Lena, Clay, MIA, Jared, and one front and center, Ethan Harper. Then a voice behind me whispered, "We never stop hiring." I turned and saw her, Lena, eyes black, smile wide, hands dripping with fryer oil. "You promised you'd stay," she said softly. "I kept your uniform ready." 8. Wendy's Point. They found the restaurant the next morning, doors locked from the inside. No staff, no bodies. Only one thing on the counter, a neatly folded red visor with a name tag, Evan Hart. Locals said the building was demolished a month later. But the lot didn't stay empty for long. A new Wendy's opened there last summer. Brand new, all glass and neon. They call it Wendy's Point. Employees say it's fine, mostly. Except around 2:13 a.m., when the drive-through intercom turns on by itself and a woman's voice whispers, "Welcome back, Ethan." They said it started with the machine. Every Wendy's had one. The big stainless steel frosty dispenser humming in the corner like a heart that never stopped beating. If you've ever worked in one of those stores, you know the sound, that deep rhythmic churn, the way it never really shuts off, even after closing. My name's Marcus Ellison, assistant night manager at Wendy's number 7124 out on the edge of I-94 near Silver Pine Avenue. Yeah, that Silver Pine, the one people in town whisper about after dark. You probably heard the rumors online a few years back, the Reddit threads, the TikTok ghost hunts, the haunted Wendy's people joked about. Only it wasn't a joke. I'd been working there for 3 years, not exactly a dream job, but it paid for my night classes in my apartment above the laundromat. The crew was small, me, Jasmine on the register, Cody in the kitchen, and our manager, Mr. Danner, who treated every shift like a military drill. On a Thursday night, late October, business was slow. The air smelled like grease and burnt coffee, and the parking lot lights flickered in that way that always made me uneasy. Jasmine was counting the till, Cody was mopping, and I was doing my usual closing checklist. That's when I noticed it. The frosty machine, it was dripping. Not the usual melted chocolate residue, but something thicker, darker. It splattered onto the tiles, dark red, almost black in the dim light. "Hey, Cody," I called. "You spill something over here?" He shuffled over, looked down, and frowned. "Nah, man, that ain't me." We both stared at the drip. The smell hit next, coppery, metallic, like blood. I tried to laugh it off. Probably a busted line, chocolate mix or whatever. But when I opened the back panel to check, my flashlight beam caught something that froze me. Inside the machinery, something moved. A pulse, like muscle flexing beneath metal. I slammed the panel shut. We called Danner. He showed up 20 minutes later, angry that we'd bothered him after hours. I tried to explain the leak, the smell, the movement. He rolled his eyes. "Maintenance will look at it in the morning. Just mop it up and clock out." He unplugged the machine, at least I thought he did. When I came back from dumping the mop bucket, it was humming again. That night I couldn't sleep. My phone buzzed around 2 a.m. It was Jasmine. "Jasmine, are you awake?" Me. "Yeah. What's up?" Jasmine. "Tell me you didn't go back there tonight." Me. "No." "Why?" Jasmine. "Because I drove past an hour ago. The drive-through lights were on. The frosty machine was running. The store was locked. Alarm set. No one should have been there. Next morning, Danner didn't show up for the opening shift. No call, no text. We figured he'd overslept or got drunk again. Around noon, I went in to check inventory. The frosty machine was spotless. Not just cleaned, polished. The chrome shone like a mirror. And the floor around it? Dry. No stains. No smell. But taped to the side of the dispenser was a note in Danner's handwriting. "Feed the machine. Don't question it." I laughed nervously and tore it down. Probably his idea of a prank. But the handwriting? It looked shaky. The lines trembled like he'd written it while his hand was being pulled. That night I stayed late again. I wanted to prove it was nothing. Just faulty plumbing or a prank from one of the guys. I set my phone on the counter, hit record, and waited. Hours passed. Then at 2:47 a.m. the humming deepened. The floor tiles trembled. The air trembled. And from the dispenser nozzle something began to pour out. Slow at first, then gushing. Not chocolate, not vanilla. It was dark, thick. It steamed in the cold air, and when I stepped closer I swore I saw something moving inside it. Faces. blurred, distorted faces pressing against the surface like trapped souls beneath ice. My phone vibrated. A new message notification. Unknown number. You shouldn't have stayed. The lights cut out. When they came back on, someone was standing behind the counter. It was Danner. Only, not quite. His uniform was soaked, his eyes glossy and his skin pale and wet like raw meat. His mouth opened and his voice came out wrong, layered, echoing. Feed the machine, Marcus. I stumbled backward. Jesus, Danner, what the hell? He raised a hand. No, the machine's hand. It stretched from the nozzle, molding around his arm like it was part of him. Metal and flesh merged in that sickening slurp of suction. Do you know what it eats? He whispered. Do you know why the Frosty never spoils? Why it always stays fresh? Behind him, the stainless steel casing pulsed, breathing. The sound of heartbeats echoed through the walls. Every night it wants something new, he said. A little piece of whoever's left to close. The ones who stay late, the ones who clean. He smiled, lips cracking. Tonight it's you. The last thing I remember before running was the machine opening. Like a mouth, rows of gleaming metal teeth and that endless dark inside. I ran into the parking lot barefoot, screaming. No one believed me, of course. The cops said I was hallucinating, stress, sleep deprivation. They checked the store, found nothing. The machine was normal. Danner was on leave. 2 weeks later, the restaurant reopened under new management. But sometimes, when I drive by at night, I see the lights flicker. I swear I hear that deep hum again, that churn. And if you order a Frosty there, pay attention to the taste. There's something metallic, something that clings to your tongue long after you swallow. Because once you feed the machine, it remembers your flavor. It starts quietly. No alarms. No dripping machines, no warning. You just walk in for a burger and fries, maybe a Frosty, and then you notice something off. One. New job. Same nightmare. My name is Sophie Tran, 22. I'd taken a night shift job at Wendy's number 8109, a brand new franchise in a small Pennsylvania suburb. I was desperate. College tuition, rent, bills. The night shift was easy money. Quiet, not much supervision. The manager, Tommy, was cheerful in a brittle way, always smiling, always watching. He handed me a red visor and a name tag. Greater than welcome to Wendy's, you'll do great here, just don't touch the Frosty machine after 2 a.m., okay? I laughed. I thought he was joking. 2. The first customer around 11:45 p.m. A lone man drove up to the drive-thru. He didn't order anything, just stared at the menu board. Then, without warning, he spoke through the speaker. I see you. I froze. Can I take your order? I said. You feed it, he replied. It wants more. I laughed nervously. Sir, do you want a Frosty? The line went dead. I checked the monitor. The car was gone. No tire tracks, nothing. I shrugged it off, telling myself it was a prank. 3. The Frosty machine around 2 a.m. The machine started humming. A low, heavy hum like a heart in the wall. I hadn't touched it, no one had. A thick black drip slid down the nozzle. My stomach turned. Not again, Tommy whispered from behind me. He'd been watching, quietly, always watching. The drip thickened, pulsating. And then I saw it, shapes inside the clear cylinder, faces pressed against the plastic like prisoners. Their mouths moved, but no sound came out. I stumbled back. What the hell is this? Tommy smiled, but it wasn't warm. Welcome to the franchise, he said. Once it chooses you, you belong to it. Feed it, or... He didn't finish the sentence. 4. The first victim, Jamal, a delivery driver, came in around 2:30 a.m. to drop off supplies. He saw the machine. He laughed at first. Oh, wow, someone's melting chocolate too fast. Then the nozzle extended like a mouth. Thick black liquid spewed over him. He screamed. I froze as Tommy stepped forward, calmly, methodically. You can't leave until it's satisfied. By the time I could move, Jamal was gone. Just gone. No trace. Not in the freezer, not the walk-in. The drip stopped. Only the hum remained. 5. The customers who never leave. Over the next week, things escalated. People came in, not for food, not for fun. They wandered in late at night and never left. Sometimes they were employees, sometimes delivery drivers, sometimes random late-night customers. The frosty machine watched them, absorbed them, and when it was done, it hummed quietly as if satisfied. I saw it through the glass, faces pressed to the plastic, screaming silently, hands clawing inside, and Tommy, he was always there, always smiling. "The franchise expands," he said once casually. "Each store, a mouth, each shift, a feeding. You'll understand when it chooses you 6. My choice. I lasted 1 month. Every night I watched the machine, watched the hum, watched the faces, listened to the whispers. One night around 3:05 a.m. it spoke to me directly. "Feed us, or join us." The words slithered into my mind. My body moved before I could stop it. I opened the panel. The drip thickened, darker than ever. Faces pressed closer. One in particular, familiar, not fully, but it was Lena, or someone like her. I screamed. Tommy stepped forward, his smile wide, perfect, teeth glinting in the fluorescent light. "It chose you," he said. "Now you'll help us feed it." Or, the next day the store opened as if nothing had happened. The crew was new, fresh, smiling, cheerful. I was gone. But the frosty machine hummed, and it remembered my flavor. 7. Epilogue. The franchise. They're opening a new Wendy's next town over. They're hiring. I'm still inside. Sometimes I see glimpses of the old ones. Lena, Jamal, the others, faces pressed to the plastic, silently screaming. Sometimes a customer orders a frosty late at night, and if you listen, you can hear them whisper, "Feed us. Join us. We remember you." The franchise expands, and it's always hungry. They say every franchise has a founder, every fast food empire a story. But not every story is meant to be told. 1. The original Wendy's, long before the neon lights, before the drive-through speakers, before the frosty machines hummed like hungry hearts, there was a man named Edmund Wren. He was brilliant, charismatic, and obsessed with perfection. People called him a visionary. He opened the first Wendy's in 1972, a small town in South Dakota. But Edmund had a secret. Not a business secret, not a recipe. Something far older, far darker. He had discovered a way to trap souls. Not by killing exactly, not always, by feeding desire. People came to his restaurant for comfort, for hunger. And Edmund, he collected them. 2. The Frosty. The frosty machine wasn't originally for ice cream. It was a vessel. Edmund spent years designing a system of gears, metal, and chemical mix that could absorb the essence of anyone who lingered too long in his restaurants. The churn, the hum, the cold metal, all part of the process. He called it the heart. At first it was slow, a single soul per week. Employees, loyal customers, late-night wanderers. It didn't matter. The machine learned, it adapted, it consumed. By the time he died, officially of a heart attack in 1985, the machine had become something else entirely. Something alive. 3. Corporate infection. Edmund left no heirs, no will. But Wendy's didn't die. The corporation expanded. Franchises spread across states, cities, countries, and with each new store, the heart spread. Machines hummed, subtly different in each location. Employees complained of strange hums, shadows that moved when no one was there, feelings of being watched. Corporate dismissed it, said it was imagination, stress, poor lighting. But it was real. The frosty machines were feeding. And those who stayed too late, those who cleaned, those who worked the night shift, became part of the network. 4. The network. By 2015, someone noticed patterns. Reports from Marfield, disappearances, the drive-through phantom. Weird videos online, security footage showing employees following shadows, disappearing. Investigators never connected the dots. Too implausible. But the heart thrived, spreading to Wendy's point, Wendy's number 8109, and dozens more. Each machine was linked, each store a node, and if one node failed, it would call to another. Whispering through the intercom, through the static, through the employees' minds. The machines didn't just feed bodies, they fed memory, fear, identity. They could reach across franchises, across states, across years. And they remembered every face. 5. The last survivors. I'm Detective Sandra Voss. I've been tracking this for nearly a decade. Marfield, Silver Pine, Briars Hollow. It's all connected. I've seen the victims. Lena, absorbed into the first node, her body alive, her mind trapped inside the frosty machine. Ethan, vanished at Wendy's point, still inside the network, forever feeding it. Sophie, trapped at number 8109, her consciousness now part of the churn, whispering through the intercom. I've watched the machines, studied them, documented the hum, and I know what comes next. Every franchise opened in the last decade is vulnerable. Every frosty machine, every drive-through, every intercom can be a node, and each feeding makes it stronger. 6. The final confrontation. I went into the newest Wendy's franchise last night, an abandoned one they're renovating in Silver Pine. I brought an EMP device, my gun, and a bottle of holy water. Crazy, I know. But this isn't normal. The lights flickered the second I stepped inside. The frosty machine in the corner hummed louder than any machine had a right to. I swear I could feel it looking at me. Detective Voss, a voice whispered through the intercom. We've been waiting. The nozzle extended, dark and pulsing. Shadows swirled inside it, faces pressed against the clear plastic. Lena, Sophie, Ethan, dozens more, silent, screaming. I aimed my EMP. The hum faltered, the shadows writhed. Greater than feed us. The intercom screamed in dozens of voices layered together. I fired. Sparks flew. The machine convulsed. The lights exploded. The walls shook. And for a moment I thought I'd broken it. But then I heard a whisper, cold as ice. We are the network. We are everywhere. You cannot kill us all. The room went dark. 7. Epilogue. The franchise continues. The next morning, the franchise opened as usual. New staff, new customers. The smell of fries and burgers wafted into the street, and somewhere in the back corner, the frosty machine hummed. Welcome to Wendy's. Can I take your order? And if you stay too long, if you linger after closing, if you feed it willingly, you'll never leave. The franchise grows, the heart waits, and it remembers you. They say the night shift changes you. I used to think that was just a cliche. I was 19, desperate for a job, and Wendy's number 9321 in rural Ohio promised hours, minimum wage, and free meals. That was it. I didn't know the night shift comes with hunters. 1. First night. My name is Jared Lowe. I was trained by a supervisor named Karen, mid-30s, professional, quiet. She handed me a red visor and a name tag. The night shift is different. Follow the rules. Don't touch the frosty machine after 2 a.m. and whatever you do, don't answer the intercom if it talks to you. I laughed, thought it was a joke. By 11:30 p.m. the store was empty. I stocked the fries, cleaned the soda station, and watched the drive-through monitor. Nothing. Then faintly the hum started. Jared. I froze. My heart raced. Jared, come closer. I looked around. Karen was busy with paperwork. The hum came from the frosty machine. The nozzle dripped a black, thick liquid. My stomach twisted. 2. Training video. Karen handed me a tablet. Watch this. It's mandatory. The video was grainy, VHS quality. A man in a Wendy's uniform walked through the lobby. The camera focused on the frosty machine, faces pressed against the plastic, screaming. The heart chooses. If it chooses you, you feed it. Do not resist. I wanted to laugh. It looked like a horror movie. But the faces, one of them looked familiar. A young woman, brown hair pulled into a bun, round cheeks. Lena. I froze. Do you see them? Karen said softly, leaning closer. The machine keeps a record. Every night it remembers, every flavor, every fear, every name, and it grows. 3. The first feeding around 2:13 a.m. The lights flickered, Karen's eyes went wide. It's time. The frosty machine started humming louder, pulsing, shapes pressing against the nozzle. A man, a late-night customer who had wandered in to order fries, froze. He looked directly at the machine. The nozzle extended toward him, dark liquid oozing. His mouth opened. He screamed, but it didn't escape. Karen grabbed my arm. "Run!" I bolted, but the doors slammed shut. The intercom crackled. "Welcome, Jared. Can I take your order?" 4. Network awareness. By the next night, I understood. The machines aren't isolated. They talk. They remember. Each franchise is a node. I heard whispers. Lena, Sophie, Ethan, calling me by name. Faces appeared in the reflections of the fryer, the soda machine, even the windows. They weren't just employees. They were part of the Frosty now. I tried to leave, tried to quit, but when I walked past the back exit, a shadow blocked the door. "You can't leave," it whispered. "Not until the shift ends and the machine is fed." 5. Rules of survival. Karen survived her first night because she understood the rules. 1. Never touch the machine after 2 a.m. 2. Never respond to the intercom. 3. Don't linger near reflections. 4. Never be alone with it. I didn't understand them at first. I ignored them. Now I do. Because ignoring the rules means being absorbed. Your memory, your fear, your identity, becoming part of the network. And the machine never forgets. 6. The customer who stayed around 3:02 a.m., a young man drove through the empty drive-thru. "I just want a Frosty," he said. The nozzle extended. Dark liquid poured. Shapes pressed inside. He screamed. Not a sound came out. His reflection in the window looked back at me, pale, wide-eyed, already lost. Karen whispered, "That's the last shift he'll ever have." "Why does it take them?" I asked. "Because we leave a mark. Every employee, every customer, every flavor becomes part of it. And it grows. The franchise expands. That's how it feeds. That's how it survives 7. The last reflection. By 4 a.m., the store was quiet again. I caught my reflection in the stainless steel freezer door. My face was pale, my eyes wide, and behind me, pressed against the metal, was Lena. "Welcome," she whispered. "We've been waiting." I turned. She was gone. The machine hummed. The nozzle dripped. I realized the night wasn't over, and neither was I. 8. Epilogue. Shift change employees are trained to smile, to clock in, to hand out burgers and fries. Customers see bright lights, clean floors, happy workers. But the Frosty machine hums at night. It remembers. It waits. And if you linger, if you stay, if you feed it willingly, you join the franchise. And the franchise never forgets. It starts with a whisper. Even before you see it, even before the lights flicker. You feel it in the floor tiles, in the hum of the fryers, in the chill that crawls up your spine. I've seen it all. Lena, Ethan, Sophie, Jared, the victims of the night shift, the ones absorbed into the network of Frosty machines across states. And now, it's my turn. 1. The survivor. My name is Detective Sandra Voss. I've been tracking the Wendy's phenomenon for nearly a decade. At first it was disappearances, strange reports, and online rumors. Then the patterns became impossible to ignore. A network of stores, a network of machines, a single entity feeding, growing, expanding. I've lost people to it, colleagues, innocent night shift workers, victims whose faces haunt my dreams. But I've found a way to fight back. I've located the founder's original store buried under decades of renovation in Silver Pine, South Dakota. Wendy's number 0001 supposedly closed and condemned, but the machine is still there, still humming, still hungry. 2. Entering the heart. I arrived at the store at 11:45 p.m. The building loomed in the fog, neon lights flickered weakly. The smell of grease and old metal hit me like a punch. Inside, the frosty machine stood in the corner, humming, black liquid dripping from the nozzle. The air vibrated with low, rhythmic pulses. The heartbeat of 1,000 souls trapped inside, faces pressed against the transparent cylinder. Lena, Sophie, Jared, Ethan. Their eyes wide with terror, mouths screaming silently. "Welcome, Detective Voss," a voice whispered from the intercom. "We've been waiting." I swallowed hard. This was it. The heart, the origin, the entity that had infected every franchise. 3. The rules of engagement. I knew what I had to do. 1. Disconnect the network, every machine feeding into the main node. 2. Destroy the heart, the original frosty machine, the source. 3. Survive. I brought EMP devices, thermal cutters, and a sledgehammer. Not enough, I hoped, but it was all I had. As I approached the machine, the lights dimmed further. Shadows spilled across the floor, moving like liquid. The faces inside twisted, their screams layered together into a chorus of agony. "Feed us," they whispered. "Join us." I ignored them. Every instinct screamed to run. I had to finish this. 4. The feeding. The machine pulsed violently, nozzle extending, black liquid spraying across the tiles. Shadows emerged from the walls, grabbing at my legs, wrapping around my arms. I fired the EMP, sparks flew. The humming faltered. The shadows writhed, screaming in a chorus of silence. But the machine adapted. The nozzle extended further, faces pressed against the plastic, closer, desperate. Lena's eyes met mine, not angry, not vengeful, terrified. "Sandra, help us," she whispered. I realized the truth. The machine didn't just feed on bodies, it fed on fear, on memory, on identity, and the only way to stop it was to destroy it entirely. Not just the original machine, but the network. 5. Destroying the network. I ran through the building, EMPs in hand, cutting wires and smashing monitors. Every connected machine across the network flickered and shuddered. Screams echoed across towns I couldn't see, across stores I'd never been in. The heart reacted. The floor trembled. The walls warped. Shadows became hands, claws, pulling at me, trying to drag me into the pulsating core of the frosty machine. "You can't escape," it whispered in a dozen voices at once. I smashed the control panel. Sparks and fire erupted. The humming reached a deafening pitch, then silence. 6. The heart. The machine quivered, then cracked. Steam hissed. Faces inside writhed, then disappeared. I swung my sledgehammer. Metal and glass shattered. Black liquid sprayed, but it no longer moved. I was alone in the wreckage. The pulse stopped. The hum died. For the first time in decades, the Wendy's network was silent. 7th epilogue. I left the building as dawn broke. The neon sign flickered weakly, then went dark. Across the country, reports came in of machines failing simultaneously. No employees disappeared, no screams in the night. But I know it isn't gone. The heart waits. In every corner, in every fryer, in every frosty machine, it remembers. And if you linger too long, if you stay after closing, if you feed it willingly, you might see the faces behind the glass, hear the whispers, become part of the franchise. But for now, it sleeps. For now, humanity survives another night.